Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are just continuing on and on and on, it seems, with the HRCYED recommendations and TBR. And we have reached the end of the second row, so we're getting there. And that is called titular counting. And that basically means that you count the number of words in the title from 1 to 10. And they definitely get more challenging as you move along. But let's talk about it. So for my recommendations for you, one word I have vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is about two guys who find out that by having a near-death experience, you can get superpowers. So they basically kill each other and bring each other back to life, end up with superpowers, and then for some reason end up on opposing sides of, like, there's not a war going on, but they are enemies. And we just follow like what's happening and how they came to be where they are. And there's a lot of stuff also about politics and about these, because they're not the only ones with superpowers. So a lot of politics about should they be governed in some way, should they be controlled, like supervised, all that good stuff. And it has been a duology for a long time. The second one is called Villains, I think. No. Victorious. No. Yes. No. Vengeful. Oh my god. The second one is called Vengeful. And this year, a third one is coming out. And I didn't realize that it was going to be a trilogy, because like I said, it has been a duology for many years. But I guess V.E. Schwab had some more to say in the story. For two words, we have Iron Widow by Xion J. Xiao, and this is basically what is it? This woman who is from a poor family out in the country, and she really wants to be a pilot for these, basically, what are they called? Those cars that turn into robots. You know what I mean? Anyway, there are these giant robots that are built in order to defeat the enemy of some giant insects, if I remember correctly. And she wants to be a pilot, but the odds are against her. But she keeps fighting. Really, really great book. Also a trilogy, and I think the third one is out. For three words, we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is the first part of a duology, and we have Laszlo Strange, I want to say, who's an orphan taken in by basically these library monks, if you will. And he works at the library and dreams about this city of Weep that has been lost in the ages. And he just really wants to go find it. He wants to learn all he can about it. He wants to help them. And then one day a caravan appears from the desert, and it turns out that they are from the city of Weep, and they are looking for people to come to Weep and help them get rid of this giant, almost like UFO statue thing that is blocking the city from the sun. And Laszlo goes with them, and then we follow the story from there. Then for four words, I have They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. This is a graphic memoir about the internment of Japanese people in USA during the Second World War. And I definitely think this is an important read, because I think I knew, about the internment camps and stuff, but I didn't know how bad it was. So yeah, if you want to educate yourself on that, this is definitely a good place to start. For 5 words, we have Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. It does say it's a Cosmere novel, and I'm assuming it's set in his broader Cosmere universe, but it is a standalone. And it's about Yumi and this guy called the Nightmare Painter. I can't remember his name. They live in different worlds, and basically they switch places now and again quite randomly, and they have to figure out how to save their world from being run over by monsters, I think it is. It's been a while. Then we have another V.E. Schwab, A Darker Shade of Magic. That's also 5 if Yumi didn't appeal to you. A Darker Shade of Magic is a trilogy, and it's basically about Kel, who has magic, and that means he can travel between different Londons in alternate universes. And he works for the king because not a lot of people can do this, and they are not really supposed to be bringing back things or people from universe to universe. It's supposed to be quite strictly regulated, but as it turns out, it isn't. And we go from there. Then for 6 words, I have History is All You Left Me. This is a young adult novel about a guy whose boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend actually, dies, and while the ex-boyfriend had moved away and found another boyfriend, dear, I should really remember names because let's just call him Adam. Adam, the original guy. His boyfriend George moves away, gets another boyfriend, Francis, and they are living their lives. Meanwhile, Adam is back home, just convinced that George is going to come back and love him and all will be right. But unfortunately, George dies in an accident, and Francis comes back and seeks out Adam because they feel like they are the only ones who can really understand this pain of losing George. And it's basically about Adam and his handling of grief, and it's a little bit of a rough story, but also quite beautiful as far as I remember. And obviously those names are not the correct ones, so don't come at me, I just can't remember them. Then we have, let's see, another 6 words, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, in case you haven't read this one yet. And this is like an aging Hollywood star who calls in this young journalist to tell her life story. And then we basically go back all the way to the golden age of Hollywood, and we follow Evelyn Hugo through her career and her 7 husbands and how they each impacted her, and and then we see how everyone is tied together at the end. For 7 words we have, I don't have to count it. For 7 words we have The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by T.S. Lewis, if you haven't read this one yet. Some children go through a wardrobe during the Blitz in England in the Second World War. They go through a wardrobe and they find a fantasy land, and basically it's their exploration and experiences in this fantasy land. Classic childhood book. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 7, we have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And this is, I think it's like 1700s-ish, 1800s, I can't remember, but that kind of era. And basically it's about these young people who are going on their grand tour of Europe, as they did back in the day, and their experiences on that tour. And it gets it doesn't go as planned. And I really, really love this one. Monty is just such a dear character to me, so yeah. And then I believe this is 9. it's 8. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. This is set on Guernsey, as you can imagine, and it's written in letters, so it's epistolary, if you're looking for a different format of book. And basically it's letters between all these people on Guernsey and a writer. I think, she's a writer in London. They connect through, I think she's searching for a book or something, and these people start to write to her, and she writes back, and essentially she ends up going to Guernsey to visit all of them, and then they talk to her about their daily lives, and especially their lives under the occupation when they were occupied by Germany during World War II. This is also a really, really touching. I believe this is 9. Yeah. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe, and a lot of people who are doing recommendations end up with this one as their recommendation. Because 9 words in a title is a lot. And there are not a lot of books with that many words in the title, at least, especially not ones that I have read and can recommend. This has been years and years since I read it, so, but basically it's about Aristotle and Dante, and they are exploring their relationship. For 10 words, I have put down Been Down So Long It Looks Like Up to Me by Richard Farina. And this is like a 1960s classic, basically, about this guy's experiences in college and just going around his life. It's been a long time since I read it, but I really enjoyed it when I did. Yeah. Then for my own TBR, we are starting off with Victorious by V.E. Schwab. Like I said, this is the 3rd one in the Vicious and Vengeful trilogy, and it's coming out this year. So I'm hoping to read it pretty soon after it comes out. 2 words, we have The Maiden by Kate Foster. I might sub this out for something else. This was basically just one that I had home from the library at the point when I made my TBR. But anything else with 2, I feel like 2 words is pretty common, so it shouldn't be too hard. 3 words, we have The Apothecary Diaries. I am reading this one for Choose Your Party as well, because an apothecary is one of the people that can join a party. No, I don't play D&D, in case you can't tell. 4 words, we have The Master and Margarita. This one I'm not so sure about. It sounds weird. And apparently it's like a Russian classic about Satan coming to Moscow and trying to take people to hell, maybe, but they don't want to go, obviously. But they're like, no, there's no Satan, there's no God, you know. So then we have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and this is, I remember when it first came out, everybody really loved it. It's basically about this professor who has a traumatic brain injury. That means that he can't remember more than 80 minutes back. And this housekeeper is hired to take care of him. And I'm assuming this is just like that type of Japanese fiction, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and The Healing Season of Pottery, I think it's called, where it's basically just slice of life as these people are learning to live together. Then for 6 words, we have The 7 Moons of Marley Almeida. Annoyingly, I don't know why that bothers me so much. This is basically about a guy who ends up dead, and because he is like, I'm not done with life, I want to find out who killed me and possibly take my revenge. he has 7 moons, so I'm assuming 7 months, to roam around the world and try to figure out what happened. Then for 7, yeah, 7 words, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, a thriller, I believe, about these college kids who back in the day were like a group, and then someone dies, and now it's like 10 years later they are at a college reunion and someone is trying to find out what happened way back then. Then we have The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna for 8 words. Honestly, I have no idea what this is about. I just was intrigued by the title because it sounds like The 7 or 8 Deaths of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And I do believe that was kind of comped to this title, so it could be something in the same vein, and I really enjoyed those 2 books. Then we have, I believe this is 9. Yeah, 9 words. And as you can see, I am counting the subtitle. But Slow Productivity, The Lost Art of Accomplishment Without Burnout by Cal Newport. A self-help book, I'm assuming, that I'm really interested in. The people who have read this really rave about it. So, and I do feel like I want to do more in my life than just work. But I just feel like there's a good chance of burning out if you try to pile too much on yourself. So we'll see. I believe this is also 9. Yeah, so just in case I feel like that's cheating, counting the subtitles, we also have Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. And this is basically a murder mystery. This reclusive woman is living in the countryside taking care of rich people's houses, and then the neighbors start turning up dead. So she's trying to figure out what's going on before she's blamed. And another subtitle, because I couldn't find anything else. The Finest Hotel in Kabul, A People's History of Afghanistan. 10 words. And this is a non-fiction about a hotel in Kabul, where the author starts from the hotel and then through that tells like the history of Afghanistan. And I, for one, could do to learn more about Afghanistan. So this sounded interesting. And yeah, if you have any other books with 10 words in the title, let me know, because as you could maybe tell, I had a little bit of trouble once we started up with the longer words, although I do feel like lately there has been a trend towards longer titles, like Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead and You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. That's 9. I don't think that book's for me, so that's why it's not on my TBR. Yeah, let me know if you have any recommendations, especially for the longer titles, and I will see you soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.